Hey everybody, it's Peter, and in this video we're going to take a look at the new for 2025 Kawasaki Brute Force 450 and help you decide if that's enough brute force to not have to go with the 750. Obviously the 450 is less expensive. The big thing with the 450 this year is instead of the 300 that used to be in its place, this one is a 4x4. So you've got a little bit more capability, you've got towing capacity, you've got rack capacity. We're gonna take a look at these two in detail and compare them so you can decide if the 750 is still the way to go or if the 450 is the perfect one for you. So I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Power Sports, the #1 volume Kawasaki dealer in the country. And if you have any questions, something that I didn't get to in this video or something you want to know about either the 450, 750 or anything in the Kawasaki lineup, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments the kinds of things you want to know because Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports gives me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup, and they allow me to come back here as much as I need to make sure that you get the answers you need. So feel free to subscribe right now and let's get going with this comparison review. So obviously the biggest difference between these two is the engines. You got the great 750, long been going on with the 750, and this thing is super reliable, been out for a long time. Then you got this 450, which I have a lot of faith in as well, but like I said, it adds capability. So a lot more power here, but there's a number of differences as well. First thing we should point out is this one is listed as 9.3 inches of ground clearance. This is the 450 here. Well, the 750 here is between 9 and 9.6 inches of ground clearance depending on how you set the preloads. So ground clearance is going to be very, very similar. Now the eye test tells me things are a little different. This running board here seems to be a little bit lower than this running board here. We're going to sit on these as well to show you sort of how they compare. I'm about 6 feet tall, so you can see how I feel on this. Now I want to point out a lot of these 450 or entry-level units or smaller units, they don't have a lot of space for your feet. So my big size 11's in here, again, not wearing boots or anything like that, but there's a lot of room to move around. It definitely feels more like a full-size unit, but it's still light enough that you have a lot of control. You can really kind of maneuver this around. Now the interesting thing is the 750 still has a lot of that as well. It feels a little different to sit on. You've got a firm seat here. You've got maybe a little bit more foot room, but not a ton. And again, you still have that ability to move things around, but you're definitely dealing with a slightly larger unit overall. Now it doesn't feel massive. Some of them really feel massive. You don't feel like you have that body control over them, but the seating area is going to be comparable on both of these, but there are a number of differences, so let's start showing you some of those. So let's go front to back on the 450 and 750, back and forth, back and forth. So if you take a look at the front rack, you're going to see both have similar style racks on the front. We'll show you the other 750 in just a second here. This one is a 75 pounds capacity, 34 kilograms capacity, and pretty bare bones. You've got some little teeth underneath here to strap things to, but if you're strapping your own luggage down or doing your own thing on here, this is going to be absolutely perfect. The Kawasaki, the 750 model, does add a little bit of tie downs, a little bit of storage in the middle that this one doesn't have, so let's show you that. And remember, this is 75 pounds. Let's jump to that front rack now. So over here on the 750, a different rack, different style. You've got 88 pounds, so just a little bit more capacity on this one, about 13 pounds more, but you do have some rack storage capacity in here. If I can spin this with my fingers here, there we go. Open that up. You got a couple manuals in here. That's just about what it holds, just a little bit deeper there. Not fully waterproof, so you'd want to put your non-water sensitive stuff in that area, but you do also have a little bit extra components here to have a little bit extra sort of proprietary type tie down pieces in there. So you've got a tiny bit, 13 pounds more weight capacity, which to me isn't really enough to move to this one. And if you're going down and strapping one to the other, you're probably not maxing out one if you're going to be almost maxing out the other. The tie down pieces that they both have, we'll try to zoom in here for a second here. These little knobs, both of those have those down there. So you can strap things down to either one. So again, 13 pounds more capacity. Is that enough to move to the 750 for just capability? Probably not. Let's check the back racks on both. So back here on the 450, you've got 150 pound capacity on this rack. Now what's interesting is the bodywork actually kind of finishes off a little bit earlier than the rack on this one. So they give you a good size rack here, even though the unit itself is a little bit more compact. So you can sort of see that on the angle I'm filming. 150 pounds capacity over here. Let's check the 750. So the 750 definitely adds capacity, 176 pounds capacity. So 26 pounds more capacity over here. And again, the bodywork comes a little bit more to the end of this unit. I don't know that that makes a huge deal. Again, just a little bit more capacity, but it's not just about the capacity of the racks. They each have towing capability now as well. And this is where you're gonna have to sort of make some decisions about what kind of towing you do. So let's show the towing capacity. Let's start here on the 750 and move back to the 450. So moving to the back of the 750 here, if you haven't seen a Brute Force 750 in a while, you can see this is a new design here. So they really have a familiar look between the 450 that was redesigned in 2020 or brought out new in 2025 and the 750 that was brought out new in 2024. But if you look at the towing capacity here, first of all, you have to make a decision about what kind of hitch you want, because if we look down here, that is your hitch attachment on the 750. Now this tows 1,250 pounds, 1,250 pounds, and you have to choose sort of what hitch ball or what kind of attachment you want in there. But that's how it comes from the factory on the 750. So 1,250 pounds on that style of hitch back here. Let's check the 450. So while the front end of the Brute Force 750 and 450 share a very similar look, the rear end, again, you've got more traditional style lights in here, but you can see as far as the towing capacity, you have a very different style of thing. Now this may be something that appeals to more people because you can take the hitch right out of your truck and throw it in here, depending on what kind of truck you have. But you have that hitch box there, that full proper hitch, so you can put in whatever sleeve you want. And this one tows 1,050 pounds, so 200 pounds less. Now, I will say that although the capacity is similar, the engine power of the 750 is going to make towing easier than the 450 for sure, but you have a little bit more flexibility in swapping out different styles here, tool-free. So just something to keep in mind if you're doing some things, that modern design of the 450 does give you, in my opinion, a little bit more flexibility, even though it has a little bit less capacity overall. So taking a look at the front of both these units, we talked about that familiar family kind of feel to them. They both have LED lights and it's a tri-lighting system. So you've got your headlights and the upper light there on the handlebars. These of course are stagnant, they look forward. This one turns with your handlebars, and it is the same thing on the new for 2024. So this is 25. That was redesigned in 2024. Same thing over there on the 750. You have the sort of same, the LED lights over there on the side right there, and then you have the center light as well. So again, very familiar look from the front side on both these, but different from the back side. Overall capability, neither one of these comes standard with a winch. This piece in this here is very easily removable. You can throw a winch on either one of these. Obviously, you can throw different capacities on there, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But the overall design philosophy is very similar as well. A little bit more rounded front wheels, a little bit more squared off rear wheels on both of these. So different size tires on the front and rear on both of these, not the same size. So you've got different front tire than rear tire on this one, and different front tire and different rear tire on that one as well. So very similar design philosophy. They're going to be fun to drive for sure, but again, work capable. Let's start taking a look at the dash and controls of each of these now. We'll start here with the 450. All right, so we're gonna freehand this just a little bit to show you what we've got over here. So I've got one hand on the camera, one hand on the unit, but we wanna kind of give you your view out front here. Now we'll go full wide angle just to give you a little bit better idea of what you're looking at here. So looking down here, the dash display on both of these is in this center, in this headlight unit. So we'll take a look at the controls first on this side. You've got the brake there. You've got your lights here, so hopefully you can see that. Let's go back to away from wide angle here. So you've got your lights, you've got your marker lights, headlight, and high beam right there, start switch. The parking brake here is gonna be in my way, so we're gonna put my foot on the brake, and we're gonna see the kill switch and the override button right there. Now, interestingly here, you have a gear shift lever on the opposite side of the 750. So down here, 750 low, high, neutral, and reverse is right there. You're gonna throw that parking brake right on there again. And then over on this side here, you have, of course, your throttle down there, and you have your two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and your lock button right there. So again, a little bit different way of going about the same things, but essentially the same capability as the 750. We're gonna turn the dash, just turn it on for a second. We've got some bright lights above us there, so we'll try to sort of swipe through these. Now, I can tell you this dash is already clear in person. You can see the lock button, the all-wheel drive button, or the lights are up there. You do have a tachometer here, tells you what gear you're in. Fuel is quite low right now. You've got a clock in there, and you've got the miles per hour right there. Now we can cycle through some different things here by, hitting that. Nope, we're gonna hit this one here. There we go. Hit this one there. You can cycle through the mode. So I think that's a setting and everything else. So basically that's your controls and your dash here. Everything you need, nothing you don't. You can see the warning lights here on the side, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of everything you need. And then the key is up here on the dash. Other things worth pointing out from the driver's area, a little bit of a cup holder style area, a little bit of a rubber tab in there so that can kind of hold your mug in there if you're going through extra terrain, but no extra storage out front, fuel tank out front. Seat is perfectly comfortable, no issues there at all. But that is the sort of riding position of the 450. Let's stay with it here. I'll turn it off for a second as we go over to the 750. Now you are wide angle for a second here. We already pointed out this hatch over here. You've got an extra hatch there. To me, it's a little bit taller seating position over here on the 750, but let's just jump on for a second. And we'll show you the controls again before we show you everything else. So again, a little bit taller up here, feels like a little bit taller seating position here. Got the parking brake on through the handlebar here. Let's just take it off a wide angle for a second. So parking brake on the handbrake there instead of the lever pulling across there. Kill switch, start switch, lights, very similar up there. And down there is your override button as well. Now over here, the front differential lock is something I quite like that Kawasaki does. You can sort of hold it on and drop it off and hold it on and drop it off, and you can sort of control that lever in real time, right? It's not a button to click and you wait for something to happen. So I really quite like this on the 750. I think it gives you a little bit more control. Some people may want the button, set it and forget it kind of thing, but that to me allows you to steer and lock it and unlock it and put that pressure on right there. So nice little system there. Over on this side, because your differential lock is on the other side that we just showed you, just 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive over here with your throttle. Now let's turn the key on. The key is down here on this one, so a little further away. And the gear shift again on the opposite side, low, high, neutral, and reverse. Now what you have here is Kawasaki's digital display. So this is their TFT display. I will say right now that I can tell by filming the way this camera interacts with the dash, it is much clearer in person. There's no lines here at all that I can see in real life, but you're seeing them on camera. So again, nice clear digital display. The color might help you tell exactly what's going on with everything without having to see everything. You can sort of see which wheels are in drive. Sometimes some of these competitive units have a little X or something like that in there. So really clear to tell what's going on here. Let's just cycle through what we've got down here. Trip A, trip B, back to odometer there, and I think over here we've got our hour meter, hour A, B. Battery's a little low right now, and that's about it. So you got your clock in the middle there. Fuel is low on this one as well, and a nice clear dash. Now the nice thing here is you do have some extra switch areas, so if you wanted to throw auxiliary lighting or something else on here, you've got the panel to put it right there, which you don't really have the same type panel on the other one. And then you have all this storage. So you sit down here, we'll go wide angle again. You can pull this down here, sort of rubber type storage, if I can do that with my left hand, which I hurt my finger the other day, which is why I'm having trouble here. So let's just pause that for a second. We'll get that on the camera. We'll show you that one in a second here. Same idea over here. This one drains right out, but you can put some stuff in there. And we'll get the angle from the side just to show this one exactly what we've got going on. All right, so now that I get my hands free, I'll show you how this works here. Just kind of pull it down there. It's pretty easy to do. And then you have a sort of area here. So there's a sort of space on top that's the full height there. And then down here. Now the big thing with this one is you do have a nice sort of soft, let's see if we can zoom into this area here. You have a nice soft area where you really have that ability to have a little bit more waterproofness. There's a rubber gasket on the top. Let's see, you can see the top there. So that's a rubber gasket with this soft foamy type rubbery feel there. And that's gonna give you a little bit more waterproofness. So you have got a better spot to keep things waterproof outside of your clothing, but in the unit there. So those are some of the differences. I should also point out fuel fill on this one is at the rear, just behind the seat right there. So I'm just gonna go wide angle in, so just behind the seat right there. And this one can be made into a 2-passenger through accessories and that kind of thing, even though this one says never take 2 passengers. It's not set up from the factory like that. The 450, I wouldn't think you can do that as much. So let's talk about these two now. So I think Kawasaki's done a good job with this new 450 and placing it in the lineup. There's no question that the 750 is more unit in just about every way. More capacity, more storage. It's got a little bit more size. It's definitely got more power. But what's interesting with the 450 is you now have a true light alternative to this 750. It's going to cost less. It's going to be better on fuel. It's a little bit, tiny bit smaller, so it may be a little bit better fitting in whatever trailer or whatever else you have to take it in. But this one now gives you the capacity with 4-wheel drive, with towing capacity, with good size racks all around. You have the ability to sort of look at getting into a Kawasaki 4-wheeler ATV without having to go up to the 750 if the 750 isn't what you need. So you now have something that can do the work and still have fun on. Now you lose that 2-wheel drive pure fun of the 300, but of course you can leave this in 2-wheel drive and have just about as much fun with more power. But you do now have a true brute force lineup that makes sense. The 750 definitely gives you more. You're paying a little bit more, but it's still a good value in the class. And you've got that great V-twin engine. Over here on the 450, a little bit less power, a little bit less capability, but really not a whole lot less, which means you have something that can do everything for you at a lower price point and really gives you, for a lot of you, more of what you need in a less expensive unit. So let me know below which one would be your preference out of these two. Fill in the comments. And again, if you made it this far in the video, make sure you hit subscribe, leave us a positive comment, and let me know the kinds of things you want to see from the Kawasaki lineup in the future. A lot more interesting stuff coming up for 2025. This is our first 2025 ATV review, but we're going to have a whole lot more of ATVs, motorcycles, and more. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll talk to you in the next one.